Hello, anyone watching? Probably just Colin or maybe Mum. Hi, Mum. Hi, Colin. um, so basically, I spend a lot of my time online in comment sections, in sometimes in serious mode, sometimes just in for fun, and sometimes I post political stuff, um, which I did the other day. Now I was going to title this video. Um, reading a weak argument too in reference to one of my old videos, but I don't. It's not the same thing basically because it's not about having an attack with Colin. Like I will obviously read what Colin says and voice my criticisms, but it's not about that. This video is about is the question of what is the point in having these type of conversations, online discourse, debates. Why do them if people are just convicted in their minds? I say it's still important to do it because if you've got a belief, and you base your belief on something, and instinctively humanly judge other people for their beliefs as well, maybe even you don't have to that doesn't have to affect how you treat them, but in your head maybe you might think, oh, I can't believe, come on, but to a high degree, just because of an association of something. That so if you want to stand by those beliefs, you have to be able to challenge it and stand by them, right? And there's no reason why the online discourse and conversations between friends can't stay civil. Like I say, me and Colin are still friends. I checked with him first before recording this if he minded me doing this. He said no, not of course, go nuts. So, yeah, let's get to it, shall we? Let's actually get rid of this now. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so it's Tommy Robson click. Like I say, you can see I've got 8 reactions and 40 comments in total. Okay, let's read it. Oh, okay, let's get to it then. So, honestly, I know I have friends that flat out refuse to engage with anything Tommy because he's a well-documented racist. But please, if that shoe fits you, can you watch this interview for me? I am a Tommy convert myself. For the longest time, I mocked and writ him off as a thuggish twat, but then Panodrama made me open up to the reality that the establishment can easily shape public opinion on a celebrity. And then Silenced made it clear to me that our systems are indeed as fucked up as he says. And then this interview made me understand and appreciate that he has always been consistent in his message. His intentions are honourable, and a thuggish personality is just a byproduct of his growing up in one of the roughest places in the country. He now tops my list of who I'd love to shake the hand of. Did you know that the UAE has removed the UK from their approved visa list due to concerns at how shit we are at dealing with radical Islam? Have you seen the rise in Islamic terror in the States lately? I used to worry that talking openly about my concerns about this issue leaves me too easily open for straw man attacks about how I must hate Muslims, but frankly, I don't care about that anymore. I know, anybody in my life that actually matters knows, and the rest of you at Odd Hope should know me well enough to know that I am not a hateful person in any way. So, I will be shame free in engaging in discussions about immigration now. I'm absolutely gutted that I can't go to May 16th United Kingdom march. Yeah, I am. I've got a college course that I'm on at the same time. Um, and yeah, let's say I forgot to mention, I think, that I've lost friends. It's different because that up there, I've lost friends when I voted Brexit, and I lost friends when I went to the first United Kingdom march. And it's just guilt by association. And in fact, let's have a look at these comments. Look, so I got obviously support from a brother there. There's the main conversation that I'm going to be highlighting, which I will do in a moment, a mini one there, another message of support. But this is my explanation of why I did the post in the first place. So, if anyone's wondering why I would implore my friends to watch someone I know they don't like and then stick up for him, it's because of the guilty by association thing. I had hope if watched and actually listened with an open mind, you'd see that racist is something you can't accuse him of being. And maybe that would change your mindset at least a little. maybe open you up to watching some of the things he's produced. I have literally seen the sentiment of that I am somehow less than because I went to Tommy's March in September. And you don't have to admit it, but to some degree, some of you are/were disappointed to see that I did go and wasn't put off by how I learned of its existence, I should have said. By coming across a Tommy video of him talking about it, that's how I did. Spreading the message of what he's about is a side bonus, really. The main motive was clearing my name/conscience and trying to repair any subconsciously damaged relationships/opinions of me. Okay? So let's get to it. Like I say, I did implore some because I knew this is based as well on a previous time. Like I say, when I went to the march, I obviously posted about it, and there was a lot of talk about Tommy and a lot of just flat out refusal to give him any time of day. So I did love the comment because I loved the fact, I watched it for you. That was, I loved that. Thank you, Colin, first and foremost. But let's read. So, well, I watched it for you. Maybe you need to do your own research rather than taking Tommy's word for it. He didn't form the EDL. He was recruited by the IDL, the Israel Defense League. So, right from the bat, it's a little bit confrontational as well at the same time. You've been talking about, rather than talking about Tommy's word, do your own research. It's kind of implying that I just blindly just accepted everything he said in that interview, but it tallies up to what we know and is documented. I can remember Alu Hamza and all those all the attacks on veteran parades and stuff. I remember that. Anyway, so and also, I mean, fundamentally, it is true that he did form the EDL. He was one of the co-creators of it, or the leader of it right at the start, before it became an official entity. And then, the fact that he was recruited by the IDL is in the same sentence. It's unrelated things. It's a claim that isn't true. And then suggested by the grammar that what you then say that is recruited by the IDL is relevant to instead of that's the truth. And then the evidence is there on Company's house. Now that is referring to obviously the change in name of the EDL. That doesn't affirm that he was recruited by a Defence League, a different one, the prescribed one. No, not at all. So at one point, it was actually registered as the English and Israeli Defence League. Yeah, as you say, that's not that doesn't prove that he was recruited by, and that's why he left. And that's and he didn't leave because proper scumbags joined. He left because the Euroscape prescribed the IDL as a terrorist organisation. He is and always has been nothing more than a stooge for the Israel lobby. So yeah, that's your contestant. Your first comment, and you say, don't just post a laughing emoji and mock. Actually check out what I've said. You've made a false idol of that bloke. Okay, that's your opinion, fair enough, but I don't know why you would have thought I'd just laugh and mock. It's obviously a serious post that I do that sort of stuff sometimes, but not when it's obviously a very serious post, you know what I mean? But like I say, he didn't leave because prop scumbags joined. You're talking about he was recruited by this IDL, this terrorist organisation, whereas the few sentences earlier it was as a pre-suggestion of instead of forming the EDL, and it's on Company's house. That's two different things. I don't make sense to me. Anyway, so hey, not sure why you'd think I just laugh and mock. My contention was that he is honourable and not racist, and side motive for the post was being that radical Islam is an undeniable problem and getting worse, and so I will indeed look into your claims that he's fibbing about things and is just working for Israel. At most, it might make me not rate him so highly, but I don't see how the idea he has always been an agent for Israel makes any sense when you look at how he came to infamy and what his constant message, rape gangs and two-tip policing is a problem that's going to get worse, has always been. Yeah, that's basically what I said previously, and it's everything I said before. I should just read and then summarize, I think. So yeah, at that point, my brother did a little AI fact check, just did a quick bit of a fact check on your comment. But if you can produce evidence to support the claims made, I'm open to see it. No hate, mate. Just genuinely curious where your information is from. He didn't form the EDL. False. Tommy Robinson, Stephen Yaxley Lennon, was a co-founder of the English Defence League in 2009 and its most prominent early leader. He was recruited by the IDL. No credible evidence. There is no reliable documentation showing he was recruited by any organisation called the Israel Defence League. Claims like this are not supported by mainstream or verifiable sources. Company's House shows it was registered at English and Israeli Defence League. Unsupported. There is no widely verified Company's House record showing the EDL was formally registered under that name. The EDL operated largely as a movement rather than a standard registered company in its early days. He left because the USA prescribed the IDL as a terrorist organisation. False. He stepped down from the EDL in 2003, citing concerns about extremism and internal issues within the group. There was no credible evidence linking his departure to any US designation or of another organisation. He is a stooge for the Israel lobby. That's an opinion, not fact. This is a political claim and cannot be verified as factual. While it was expressed pro-Israel views, that does not substantiate the claim. Conclusion: most of the claims in that message are either false or unsupported. Only the border contacts that he led the EDL and later left it is accurate, but the reasons and alleged connections given are not backed by evidence. So AI is good. Actually, I would call that a good fact check. It pulled out all the claims and did a fair assessment, I feel. Anyway, so in the meantime, while that was happening, I was actually doing a bit of legwork. So I've put English Defence League into Company's House, and there's over 10 pages of results and a disclaimer of Company's House does not check the accuracy of the information filed. I think that's quite important. So please do link me the right one showing Yaxley in the people section. Closest to your claims I saw on page 1 was this one, but random ass names. I'll try and verify your claims about IDL now. So let's say there's that, and apparently is the right one, but I don't know. Yeah. So I'm struggling to find anything to be able to see a way to verify the IDL, or is it JDL claim. Closest result is this article from a famously not at all left-leaning bias source, which just makes sense when you consider enemy of my enemy. And it's a Guardian article talking about where Tommy Robinson gets his funding from. And then I add, to refute two, here is a video evidence showing his given reason for leaving EDL at the time. I think, whilst I do want to lead a revolution against Islam ideology, I don't want to lead a revolution against Muslims is a great quote and believable cause. Yeah, and then the laughing emoji was what I was going to comment, was something along the lines of, now I'm going to laugh a lot because you've gone silent. But instead, I comment this because that was the point where I realised what I mentioned about how the actual structure and how you refer to Company's House as evidence of what you're saying doesn't actually make any logical sense. This is when I realised it. So I said, I must admit, if baiting me into wasting a bit of time, respectfully doing as you asked me by posting a nonsense comment laced with a couple of baity lines is what you're doing, that is some genius level trolling. Yeah. And then my brother from another mother, Billy, just chimed in. Bell and brainwashed to believe everything the media wants you to. So made me laugh. So I said, how you really feel, buddy? Colin replied to Andy, but I don't know. He may have been actually referring to me because obviously it was me who mentioned the JDL. So he says, I misspoke with IDL. It was JDL. EDL was renamed JDL, registered by Roberta Hancock Moore. No, a former Israeli soldier. Okay. Look on the Company's House website. It's no coincidence that Tommy Robinson's suddenly left when her Israel-based equivalent was classified as a terror organisation, or is it? Thank you. That's for you to decide. You'll never convince me he's not knee-deep in the Israel lobby's bullshit either way. So now, I was chuffed. I like that because you'd given me something to look into. You'd given me a name and everything, but that wasn't the name that was on that screenshot I took. I'll come to that in a minute as it happens, but and it's no coincidence that you say different. And that's how I come to that in a minute. I do answer everything. I do look into things when someone claims something. That's what I do. I say I procrastinate a lot, but to be fair, I learn a lot while I'm doing it at the same time. And then Colin replied to my mate, haven't you got around about you could be painted smart guy, which did make us all laugh. And I asked, did you mean to reply to Andy then, or are you typing War and Peace for me? Because at the same time, you hadn't responded to anything that I had said. Pretty much any of my points I'd raised and questions I'd asked, nothing. So Colin, whoo, here we go, my brother. But you have no credible evidence on your claim. You are just regurgitating bullshit because you hate the man. I could only presume. He has not changed his rhetoric in 30 years. So when do you think Israel took hold of Tommy? Seriously, when do you think they took little old Tommy and funded him? You really think if he runs, he would have done all that prison time if that was true? Everyone could see that EDL had bellends in the ranks, making noise. Smart move to step away. He wanted to pursue being a journalist. Oh, but wait, you can't use that term with Tommy. Why is that? He's made some great documentaries, some really eye-opening stuff, but people will not watch out of blind hatred. And I say, that's the problem. It's actually quite sad. It really is. All he did was call out the grooming gangs because he had a family member fall victim to it. He saw his hometown taken over by Islam, and he fought back, but he's the monster. Each to their own and all that, but if you look at some of the victim statements in the Groom and Game inquiry, surely there must be some part of you that thinks, actually, this is a massive problem across the country, and yes, fair point, Tommy called it out years ago. No? Okay, so you reply to Andy again. I got as far as you accusing me of regurgitating bullshit. The irony in that statement alone made me realise you're too far gone to listen to reason. I don't even deny that there's a massive problem with certain elements of the Islamic community. I witnessed it firsthand when my son was racially discriminated against in Luton this February. I even applaud Robinson for speaking out about Rotherham when nobody else dared to. He has made good points, and he has done good things. That said, whether it bothers you or not, he is in league with some pretty nasty Zionist elements, and not questioning his motives is foolhardy. Okay, well, questioning his motives is, again, I have to refer to the fact that it's got the same rhetoric the whole time, and his motive has always been, hold on, this injustice, it's a different kind of violence. It's not safe. It's and then obviously the rapes. Like I say, you applaud that he did highlight that. Oh, I've tripped myself up there. But he made good points and he would have done good things. Yeah, but that's what his motives are. So, but that's clear to see. So you don't need to question him much further. I mean, like I say, maybe he's been funded because obviously Israel's hate the Muslim, Jews hate the Muslims. Apparently, all of them. I don't know whether it's all Muslims. I don't know enough about how much they hate each other. But obviously, the core, that's what the religions of this war thing are. Now, yeah. So, but like I say, question his motives is one thing, but it's in league with some pretty nasty design elements. I just don't know. Where is the proof of that? You stick to this idea, and like you said earlier, that there's nothing that we can say to make you change your mind. But you're basing, you've said a lot of things that just are fundamentally untrue already in the conversation. So I say, the irony of your first statement is something else. Have you not read any of my comments on this thread to respond to? It's just that if you're going to suggest I should do my own research because all the evidence is on Company's House, and to not ignore you so I'm not blindly believing someone, I'd have thought you too would have done the research and be able to put my mind at ease that Company's House is the bastion of reliability you claim it is. I remember at some point, I can't remember if it was just a passing little bit segment of a video I watched, but they told me how Company's House works. I can't remember too much about it, but I did have a look a little bit through. But Colin explains Companies House is literally the government's registry of businesses in the UK. It's pretty bloody reliable, mate. Laughing emoji, which I laughed at because that made me chuckle purely because it's ridiculous, and I think my second comment is better. But how much documentation do they verify that you have to submit, as well as pay the roughly measly £100 to register? If you were a nefarious string puller looking to secretly influence society, would you not fork out that £100 more for that list at the end of the protections that you can pay extra for? So like I say, you can on the app, on the page itself, and don't forget as well, by the way, another thing that is that disclaimer mentioned earlier, we don't verify shit. But all these, that's the most extensive list section, I feel. That's the most extensive on average thing. But yeah, look, the last two is dodgy as fuck. Application to make information relating to a relevant individual or of an overseas entity unavailable for public inspections. And more to the point, since when has something being government property been a strong indicator of reliability? Yeah. Okay. So my brother again. I'll be honest, mate, this is exactly the problem with these conversations. Like I say, this is another thing that's stirred up been on my mind about why I want to do this video. People switch off early because their mind's already made up, so it just goes nowhere. I'm always happy to hear people out and take on different opinions, but saying you didn't read past the first bit kind of proves the point that you don't want to hear other people's views on the matter. We should be able to have a civil conversation. I can tell by the context of your original reply, you just hate Tommy. For whatever reason, you just can't stand the man, and that's your call. But it does shape how you're looking at it, exactly. Personally, I couldn't care less where he's supposedly funded from. What matters to me is that he's been highlighting serious issues for years, and I see that as a positive, but has been demonised by the media, and everyone has just lapped up the hate and then passed it on in some weird Chinese whispers type of experiment. Chinese whispers, bruv, how un-PC. I'm not saying he's perfect or above criticism. Even you said he's done some good things and raised real issues, which is all I'm really pointing at. But then it jumps straight to Zionist elements and all that. It starts to sound more like a narrative than something backed by solid evidence. At the end of the day, I think we just see things differently. I bid you good day, sir. Yeah, and it's fine to see things differently, but I can tell that you worship the fella, and anything said against him will fall on deaf ears. There are no winners here. So there are no winners here. Like, why have online discourse? Like, say, the idea is at least that you can soften, make them see some of the falsehoods that they're believing, and maybe question things, maybe watch more stuff, open them up to seeing more, like I said. But I do parody that comment in a moment. I can tell that you worship the fella, and everything said against him will fall on deaf ears. And then he replies to me, come on, mate, nobody is going to register a company that they're not responsible for. That liability alone would render them unfathomable. Okay, so he responded to one point there. It is nice that we refuse each other's views and not fall out. All too rare these days. Hear, hear. Yeah, that's right. But like Andy says, I don't worship him at all, mate. That's a bit of a reach. I've already said he's not perfect and open to criticism. I just don't dismiss everything he says outright, which isn't the same thing. I could just as easily say you've already made your mind up the other way, and nothing positive about Wimbledon either. But that doesn't really get us anywhere. True, even though that's how I do. End of the day, we've both acknowledged and he's raised real issues, and also that he's controversial, and just weigh that differently. And that's probably where it stays. Yeah. Anyway, hopefully see you at the Championship Playoff Final, or we can have a beer together and witness one of football's greatest comebacks. I don't believe that, by the way. And if you keep Clement, can see automatic promotion next year. Yeah, that'd be nice. So I say no. Obviously, I'm replying to your comment about registering a company in your name just for the funds of it. And it's like, no, but somebody might be willing to file a completely bogus, similar sounding company for defamation purposes to confusement, According to Google AI summary, that screenshot one I took is apparently the one for the real EDA, yet reports Tommy was indeed one of the founders, yet the names of the people on that file company aren't actually Lennon or Robinson. So, Colin, not being facetious, but genuinely curious, have you actually researched the claim you're telling me to? Because, like I say, I've been looking into these things as well while the conversations were happening. So Moore, born in Brazil, previously founded the division there of the anti-Muslim street movement, the English Defence League. I say anti-Muslim, that descriptor, I don't know if that's accurate, really. I mean, the EDL was more, let's say, against Islam, not the people, but the ones spitting, the ones deciding to do that sort of shit, and really causing the scene and preaching hate. Not everyone in general, they weren't rioting, and obviously there were violent racist attacks that were happening around that time, all the time. But that's besides the actual point of what you know what I'm trying to say. It's she in 2012 she expressed support for Rwanda's behaviour who killed 77 people in Norway in the previous July. So she's obviously a bit of a wrong one. But like I say, she left in leaving in 2011, which is like a couple of years before Tommy. So obviously Tommy left. So everyone could see that the EDL was getting out of hand, being infiltrated by actual scummy people. That's the point that I'm getting to. There are scummy people out there, and they do align with a lot of this, but that doesn't like I say, it's not about hating Muslims. It's not anti-Muslim. It's anti-extreme Islam. And being soft to it and not handling it right. Like I said in my original post, even the UAE has worried about our college campuses, and universities. It's just, yeah. So let's carry on. I can't seem to find an Israeli soldier affiliated with EDL by the exact same name that you've given here anywhere. And apparently she left the EDL and can't see mention of her being a founder of the whole thing and not just a short-lived wing. And the only thing about an organisation being described as terrorist by FBI is much older, unrelated JDL groups. So what's that about? Again, if you can provide me evidence of what you're claiming, please do. That's all I've ever said, Am I wrong about making any of these conclusions I'm making? And I provide the links, a blog where I got all the information that I was referred to. And yeah, this is where I parody his comment and point out the reason why these conversations are important. So I can tell that you hate the fella, and anything said in defense of him will fall on deaf ears. The winners here are anybody reading that is curious on the subject or in need of an example of how good discourse should be done, or if someone manages to inform someone of something that helps bring the gap in the difference of opinion down. Tommy deserves listening to and handshaking, and by technical definitions, idolizing / following, versus Tommy is just a scummy Israeli agent that you should not give the time of day. All right, so that was just me summarizing what the argument here, the two propositions are in this whole discussion that we're having. And you say all you've done is praise propaganda supporting him, even though I shared a Guardian article earlier. But hey, you haven't won anything, mate. What isn't propaganda is when you claim to be on that march because of that because of the state of the country. Where was your support when I was calling the right out for making it happen? Why was it only an issue for the right when Tommy said so? That, my friend, is blind worship. So, like I say, there are lots of posts on Facebook. I might do another video or something, maybe on all that shit later, another time. But that I went to the march based on it was more about the free speech. I mean, stop the boats and the Islam problem. That is true, and it's something that I do believe is a problem that needs addressing. It's gone so far into an issue, it's ridiculous, and a lot of the immigration problems is a part of that, and that's what it's all about. It's about how much that all these problems coexist. It depends on your opinion, on your beliefs, on you have to weigh it together, and what is the worst. Obviously, yes, the wealth gap and looking after the rich it can go too far the other way, where if you're scared of people out of the country, it goes bad. But I do get where the sentiment is there. But oh, mate, I forgot where I was going. I do that all the time. That like I say, that issue for me is obviously an issue, and that can be addressed. And it would be nicer if there wasn't such a big wealth gap, and there was less poverty and less struggle. Um, but for me, the more dangerous problem and imminent issue is the radicalism, and that's for me is what the state is the biggest issue, and why the country's in such a state as it is. Yes, that is to me why. So that is why being soft and all that is the issue. And like I say, watch Silence, man, and it's just crazy. So yeah, so like I say, tut, where did I claim to have won something? Reread it if that is genuinely what you got. And the links I've posted is actually showing where I got info to try verify the claims you made, like you asked me to, like I would anyway, and not about Tommy at all. You keep on strawmanning me, offering no links or places to find something to show you're not guilty of what you accused me of, blindly following what told, and ignoring 90% of the substance of my input, all you like. It's very clear to me now that any further debate is pretty futile. So anyway, what do you think the scum score will be? 1 day to go until it's Rich Norwich game. And you closed it with, let's just agree to disagree with you, then move on. Okay, I mean, fair enough. Close out on that. Like I say, fine. I genuinely didn't really want to carry it on. Didn't see the point. But then my good friend Will, who I did go to the United Kingdom march with, he decides to chime in, which I always love. Where this all started. It was the Wooten Bassett military homecoming parade where British protected Islamists chanting British soldiers burn in hell, etc. through megaphones. People attending got angry at them, among them Tommy Robinson and his soon-to-be deputy Kevin Carroll. The police got aggressive, not with the jihadist provocateurs, but with those who insulted the jihadists and those who were arrested. This discriminatory policing unleashed a movement against Islamicized police and an Islamicized country in general, and this last-minute cobbled together United People of Luton became the English Defence League. Tommy had been politically aware, though, long before this, having seen his and other parallel communities be preyed upon by members of the Islamic one, and having gone to the same schools as some of Britain's notorious Islamists. So I'm curious, precisely, how early did the Zionists get to him? Such, that is, his convictions that don't even count as his, and what the Zionists controlled all of what followed. Moreover, what actual difference does it make if Zionists happen to have the same common cause with Tommy Robinson? What about that makes the Muslim rape games or the general Islamization of Britain less pressing or less legitimate of a concern? Read this and the accusation of not questioning his motives earlier. There's no blind worship of Tommy. He's gained the respect he has because he's spoken truth to power at great cost, and has proven to be right. Yeah. The idea of people who aren't on the left having no critical faculties and all being programmed, whether it be by Tommy or the billionaires or the Russians, etc., it's a highly elitist position that conveniently allows leftists to deny others their rights and their dues by declaring them all as unthinking programmed idiots. We've had it with Reform supporters and Brexit voters also. The ones who support / agree with Tommy Robinson aren't blindly following anything. These people have their own convictions and, for their part, have done better than those who blindly hate Tommy because respectable opinion demanded it. If Tommy suddenly converted to Islam, there wouldn't be a load of conversions from his supporters or a sudden mass revision of people's opinions on Islam. His status comes from his actions and efforts, driven by concerns and values that are shared by many, not because he's been given some infallibility, nor because this working class chap from Luton is anyone's supreme leader. He's shown himself brave, principled, and skilled at informing the public about that which the establishment conceal or lie about, and now has acquired such a profile that he can organise events to bring like minded people together to allow these hitherto isolated and demoralised folk to find each other and unite together in common cause. Lovely stuff, Will. Always lovely stuff. Didn't get a response, of course. It was the other day. So yeah, like I said, that was the discussion. What do you guys think? If anyone is watching this, uh, do you see my points? If you can try and change my mind, that's always the key thing when I do in serious mode engage in these things. It's just about having a look at it, Um, I have a friend here who says it was white supremacist, Islamophobic bullshit. And to look at stats, I don't understand. I'll link the video in the description that we're on about the interview. I just don't understand how you can say white supremacist. I mean, if you want to claim racism, sure, maybe. If you want to, but white supremacist is a specific thing, and I just don't get where you can get that from, Rogan. So I just say, do tell me. I actually have a look, interestingly, because again, I always do. I honor people saying, I see in a town, obviously I don't know how accurate these things are, but I mean, in a town that was just over 54% white as the last consensus, Luton is actually doing all right comparatively to the country as a whole, but violent crimes definitely takes up a large piece of the pie. I can't seem to find where to find demographic breakdown to the stats from my first brief look, but Will asks, what did you see in the video, or even or ever in the white supremacy thing, that looking at what crime stats will change my mind? Bless him. So I'm not going to push him. I sadly reacted to it because I didn't, and then like I said, I put my comment because I didn't like the idea that I might upset someone by what you're going to watch a video. It's sad that would happen, but I get it. It can happen. And to close off the video, then my brother's comment in response. So just do what I do, bruv. Don't give a flying fuck what other people think of your opinions. Stand your ground, ask for evidence when you get challenged, and don't be afraid to question things when people are talking obvious bullshit. A lot of your claims you hear about Tommy 10 names, not sure why him changing his name winds people up. True, that I don't get. It's like, oh, you mean Stephen Yax? He said, yeah, okay. He got like nearly a year out of relative peace compared to how much threat and things since he was doxxed, and he is now known as actually his life. He got that earned him a year of being able to do more stuff just by going by a different name. But anyway, not sure why. I don't know. So being racist or being controlled by Israel get thrown around constantly. But when you actually ask for proof, it's not there. Exactly. People tend to repeat what they've heard from others or from biased media outlets. Honestly, I have seen the change over the years, including yourself, bruv. It was fashionable to hate Tommy, still is to some, but tides have changed. Just look at the difference in turnout between the Against the Right march and the one you attended. Yeah, it's like I read articles saying, well, no, it was about maybe 100,000 for the march that I attended, the United Kingdom one, and it felt like, and it looked like closer to 1 million, closer, not 1 million, I don't think, maybe, I don't know, but certainly not 100,000. And then I saw a lot of estimates for the one more recently for the opposition. And their estimates were like 400,000. It's like, no, it didn't look like it. It really didn't. But anyway, yeah. Like I say, it says a lot. At the end of the day, if things really came down to it and we have to physically fight for a country, who would you rather have stand beside you? People like Tommy or politicians from parties like the Greens or Labour and their followers? Stay in your lane. Don't call people names. Be respectful. Understand people sometimes have a different point of view, and you might just bring some on the side, hopefully. Yes, excellent summary, bruv. Excellent. Yeah, so If you did watch all that, Colin, cheers very much. I mean, that's just over 40 minutes of me chatting shit, or about 40 minutes. I'm going to cut out some bits where I stumble, I think, and edit it a bit, maybe. Yeah, but cool. All right. What do you think? Feel free to comment. Thank you very much. Good night.